Changing a lot these days, and I walked in, and the song was playing on the PA system. AC/DC, I think it was, sing the song Highway to Hell. I went in and sat down in a seat while that song played, and I looked around. My age or older they're kind of looking at the floor like they didn't know what to do. And I just thought it was ironic. Why would you want to play a song like that at a funeral? It just struck me really odd. But literally, they sing that song, and people got all kind of ecstatic about it. I remember watching some of the concerts on YouTube, and the whole crowd's all into it, celebrating the Highway to Hell. But all you got to do to go out. We sometimes think of the great sins in our world, and we congratulate ourselves. I'm not a murderer. I'm not an adulterer. I don't steal. I don't lie. But the greatest sin in all the world is just ignoring Jesus. It leads to all the other sins. So I've been reading through Thomas à Kempis's life on the imitation of Christ. That was written back in the 14th century. This man lived a long time ago. And I found it when I was reading Wesley's plain account of Christian perfection, and Wesley gives credit to à Kempis for turning his life around. He said, I was challenged by it to begin to try to live as if you could love God with your whole life. You could have one desire motivating all that you do. And he makes this statement, I resolved to do it. And I thought, I've never read that life. I've never read that book. I want to read it. If it helped Wesley that way, maybe it'll help me. And I've been working my way through it, and it is profound. It really is. It really is. So when we think about the example or pattern that Jesus lived, just go back through the Scriptures. Read not just what he says, but look at what he does. There's the way. Here's the way to heaven. Watch what he does with his time. Watch what he does with people. That becomes something you and I need to emulate, begin to put into our life and make part of who we are. Now, I want to say the more you love Jesus, the greater your love, the greater is your desire to be like him, and the stronger is going to be your pursuit to be like him. And that, to me, is the key difference among people. It kind of reminds me of the disciples early on. They're intrigued, they're curious, but that's got to grow on us until it becomes what Paul talked about in the book of Philippians, a consuming passion. I want to know him. And that is the marker of difference in people's lives. We sometimes judge people by talent. We judge them by appearance. But I want to tell you, God looks at us, and he's looking at this issue of love. How strong is our desire to be like Christ? Now, if I don't have that growing in my life, I get into trouble, because religion can become a group of rules as we talk about truth. It becomes rules, it becomes practices, but it's devoid of relationship. And that's about as empty a life as you can live. And a lot of people have walked away from the church because they have come, and that's been their experience. It's about rules. It's about practices that are foreign to me. How does this help a person live? They can't make the connection. Now, when Jesus gets exclusive and says, no one comes to the Father except through me, our world is not like that. I think the thing we would say today, and it isn't. It isn't. Paul wrote to the Corinthians that the wisdom of God is not the wisdom of this age or of the rulers of this age who are doomed to pass away. He goes on to say, if they had known God, if they had known his wisdom, they would not have put Christ to death. So I just want to kind of brace you in the way. If you're going to become a Christian, if you're going to stand for the things that Jesus stood for, if you're going to live out the values he lived for, you are going to find yourself in a clash with an unbelieving world. No way around it. No way around it. I think the church is in big trouble today because we've spent a lot of effort trying to figure out how can we be like the world, and we just need to just drop that. You don't need to be like the world. You need to be like Jesus. How can we be like Jesus? Let the world be who it is. If we're going to help them, it's only going to come as we are like him. So we imitate him, and then we have something to offer to the world. When we practice what they practice, we got nothing to give them. And so he is exclusive, and our world doesn't like it, and they will hate you, and they call you the hater because you're saying there's one way to heaven. But I'm not saying that.